A beer.
Look, at least promise me you won't drink. Alcohol always leads to trouble.
Hey, who wants to play Drink the Beer?
Right here.
You win.
All right, what do I win?
Another beer.
Just have a cup of coffee.
Beer it is.
Coffee?
Beer.
I'd kill for a beer.
Cheap beer and a sympathetic ear. Step right up.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Beer House Podcast this is Adam, and thanks for joining and hanging out with us. Of course, we have my two lovely moronic co-hosts, Jake and Chad. What's up, guys?
What up?
What's up, Adam? I'm glad you said lovely first before moronic.
Well, I think everybody would faint if I didn't throw something in there.
No, but we're lovely and moronic, not moronic lovelies. That's
both are accurate. They're separate.
Yeah, I would actually highlight, bold, and italicize moronic, but whatever. Tonight we have a cool guest with something we haven't really talked about before, so I think it's going to be really, really cool. Brent Patterson, thanks so much for hanging with us. How you doing?
Thank you, guys.
But before we get into
not too bad.
Before we get into what you're doing, go ahead, Chad.
I want to know what everybody's drinking. So I have a Rheingeist Truth. This is an IPA out of Cincinnati. Rheingeist. I've had several of these this week. I bought a 6-pack, and I believe this is the last one.
Sounds like it should be German.
Yeah, no, it does sound German. Yeah. I don't know anything about the brewery, but
Rheingeist.
They're in Cincinnati. But cheers to Rheingeist.
Hey, Jakey Poo.
I have this hazy IPA from the ever-expanding, expansive Hero series that Revolution does.
They just keep
Chad, I also bought
adding beers to that line, man. It's crazy.
They must make a lot of money off that, or maybe they have like a labeling deal or something.
I don't know.
I bought a 6-pack too, Chad, and this is number 5, so it must be good. I don't know. It's going down.
Yeah, I took a couple of 6-pack risks in the last few weeks. I haven't been drinking much beer recently because I've been kind of sick.
Risks.
But yeah, the Sixers that I bought, I've actually lucked out and enjoyed them. So
per my wife, I'm not allowed to buy anything unless it's an Oktoberfest right now. So,
that's all she's checking in right
we
now.
just have a
Oktoberfest.
shit ton of Oktoberfest. So she's trying all of them out. So,
Adam, what are you drinking?
I'm not drinking beer. I'm actually doing Blind Tiger rye whiskey, and this stuff is so good, man.
And that is Chicago Distillery, right?
Chicago Distillery, yeah, it's so good, so good. I could take a bath in that. It's great.
Brent, are you drinking anything tonight?
No, I'm currently training for half marathon, so no drinks for me tonight. I think if I was, it'd probably be a strawberry blondel from Border Brewing here in Kansas City. That's probably my current favorite right now.
Well,
nice.
It's respectable that you're doing a half marathon. It's insane that you're doing a half marathon, but we'll let it slide this time. That's fine.
And inexcusable that you're not drinking a beer.
I mean, even at the finish line of these runs, they have beer for you.
Yeah, forgive me.
All
You guys
right,
allow me back.
Yeah,
It's gone.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no. We're just giving you shit.
When my wife used to do a couple before she hurt her back,
I
and
know.
when she went to her first one, I was like, "There's beer here." I'm like, "I'm not running, but I'll drink the beer all night long." That's fine with me. So that was a good time. So, Brent, tell us about yourself. And just a little bit about your organization.
Yeah, my name is Brent Patterson. I live in Kansas City, Missouri, originally from Southwest Missouri. Grew up in a small farm town called Granby. I'm the founder and CEO of Drink Local, Think Global. We provide clean and safe drinking water to communities around the world. That one way we do that by engaging the craft beer. Currently, today we have access, and around an estimated 2,000 children die from diseases caused by unclean water. So some pretty crazy statistics. Really, I just found out about the global water crisis 4 years ago this September. And then we planned an event, called it Drink Local, Think Global. Never expected to become a nonprofit. And now me and my co-founder, Lindsay Gregory, are full time, and we just went full time about 3 months ago, and we run it full time. So, yeah, I love Kansas City. Big KC guy. I don't know if you guys have ever been to Kansas City, but if you happen to make it, let me know, and I'll show you some of the best barbecue in the U.S. So,
Well, I was born in Missouri. I was born in Rolla, but I did live in Joplin for a while. But the only time I ever went to Kansas City was to get to the airport.
I'm very familiar.
Yeah,
We
Kansas
do,
City.
I
did have the
went to
barbecue.
college in Joplin, and my brother went to.
Oh.
Yeah, the barbecue's good. My brother went to University of Missouri Rolla, or Missouri S&T now, so very familiar with Rolla.
Yeah, my sister went to Ozark Christian College down there, and that's why I moved down there intending to go there, but I never did. I just got a job and then came back to Illinois.
Just
it's
on
a good place.
It's
a good place.
On a technical side of the podcast here, I have a little bit of an audio delay. I don't know if everybody else does, but just
there's one.
Okay. So just everybody's aware there's if there's any delays in responses or something, there is a delay.
You're just saying that so you don't sit there staring at the.
Yeah, I mean, by the time when we're done and I'm totally drunk, then I just want to have an excuse.
It's
your
the
late in podcast,
delay.
You have that excuse, Chad.
So what happened 4 years ago that kind of kickstarted this? What got you, as the kids I think would say, woke to
Kids would say.
what a big issue this is, and made you suddenly, maybe suddenly is the wrong word, but made you want to be passionate about doing something.
I was I would say, my whole life, my sister was diagnosed with cancer when I was younger, leukemia now. So I was pretty passionate about cancer. I was that guy who most of the time would say, hey, why are we focused on developing countries as much when we have our own issues here in the U.S.? And I've never been to, I still haven't seen one of our wells. I never really do missions outside the U.S. Donation wise or anything. And I went to in Dallas called Watermark, and every Labor Day they had and I remember the pastor he was talking about. It's a pretty crazy story. He was talking about how a guy nickelback for 7 days straight to raise money for clean water. But during that stint, how 2,000 diseases caused by unclean water. And I just man, there is no way. That is totally a false statement. And he must be exaggerating that number. And then I looked, sure enough, pretty increased a little bit since then. Then I found out 663 million people don't have access to clean water. Women in Africa alone spend about 40 billion hours walking to get water a year combined. And to be honest, in my opinion, it was 2016 at the time. It's 2019 now. It's absurd that we're allowing this to happen and that people don't have access to clean water. So when I moved to Omaha in January, I got a group of friends together and I said, hey, would you guys want to help me throw an event called Drink Local, Think Global? And that wasn't initially what it was. I wanted to call it a really dumb name. Thankful the team talked me away from it. But so then we planned the event. I borrowed, thankful for them, but I borrowed $4,500 to throw the event because I couldn't get any sponsors. 40 days before the event at the end of April, we had only sold 50 tickets. So now, because A, we're not going to raise any money for water, B, I have to dollar somehow. The month of April, 29 days only eating rice and water to raise awareness for the global water crisis and what some people are having to go through, not having much to eat. Obviously, I had clean water. I ended up raising about $16,000. I donated $12,000. Anything else? I'm not gonna lie. I was pretty hungover that day. You do that long, and then you drink a lot that night. It's over. And then I had a few
Yeah.
businessmen that I have a lot of respect for just say, hey, I think you should move forward with this. We became an officially in October team, and we were volunteers for 2.5 years. I would come home from my day job, and Lindsay would as well, and creative would just work on this all night and have fun. And we were able to raise about $200,000 over the past 2.5 years, and our ground partners who drill the wells came to us and said, hey, what do you think about running it full time? And so we've been running just 3 months, and for our biggest nationwide event we've ever had, and we're pretty stoked for.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Now, why beer? Like what? How does beer tie into this? Why craft beer thing?
Yeah, I think we started out called Drink Right. That was just an event. I think a lot of people think we created this thinking we were going to become a nonprofit. I'll be honest, I did not want to become a nonprofit. I think there's too many nonprofits these days, and the last thing I wanted my nights and weekends and spend time, not being able to relax. I never expected it to grow into an organization. But why craft beer? So we started out with having craft breweries, praise God, breweries that donated beer for our first ever event, not even knowing who we were. But, I think one thing we quickly learned is the brewery. And I started to seriously consider becoming a nonprofit. I try, and I could still be wrong. I did not find any nonprofit focused. So all these breweries are being bombarded with requests every week for nonprofits, and a lot of them partner with a lot of incredible nonprofits. But I didn't see one, and maybe I'm wrong, that says, hey, we're going to have a mission away from craft beer, but we also want to represent your brand, and we want to help grow the craft beer industry. We want to shine a light on the craft beer industry. So I think that's what makes us a little different is, these breweries have hundreds of thousands of nonprofits to choose from. We hope that we're a little different because we're the only ones really posting a lot about craft beer on our Instagram, on our Facebook, our apparel, and kind of trying to just provide and drink some good beer while we're at it.
Now, were you was drinking beer part of your lifestyle before getting into or before starting this organization? Was it just kind of a natural fit, or was this something that kind of was like a mechanical connection between breweries using water and your idea to provide clean water?
Yeah, no. If I'm being 100% honest, I don't even know tasted craft beer before this event.
Yeah.
I really didn't drink much beer in the first place. I was a vodka guy. And yeah, so when this started, it was just, again, just more, hey, who throw an event, have some fun with people, and know these, and most of them were owners or you just really awesome people. And then a few of them came up to us after the event and were like, hey, this is one of the funnest beer tastings I've ever been to. We sold out of about 275 tickets. But they were just like, man, this is awesome. We're having fun. We're providing clean water. Then there was thank you so much. But yes, let's just say I'm slowly, the past 3 years, I'm slowly tasting more and more beer and trying to get used to it. I wish I got to taste more at festivals. Usually my co-founder and my wife are the ones tasting all the beer, and I'm trying to stay focused. But I'm getting better. I'm getting better. I'll say that.
We the audio and video connection just got a little bit better for whatever reason, so I don't think we have a huge delay anymore. But so did you drink? Were you a domestic beer drink? Like, did you drink Coors Light, Bud Light, that kind of stuff before? And before learning about craft beer? Or?
Yeah. My dad was a Miller Lite guy, and he's a diehard Miller Lite. I've never enjoyed Miller Lite. I would say in college I was a Bud Light guy, if anything, but most of the time I'm a vodka guy. I like kind of Moscow Mule, or some vodka Red Bulls, but not so much anymore. But yeah, I really enjoy vodka. Praise God, Kansas City has some pretty incredible vodka companies. Tomstown, J. Rieger. So yeah, I'm pretty lucky in that chosen area.
Can you still drink vodka while you train for the half marathon? Is that approved?
I went to a country concert last Friday. I went to a country concert last Friday. I might have had one or two.
Well, we like
good.
vodka
You guys-
too. It's vodka's vodka. It's
You guys got to realize.
Go ahead. What were you saying?
yeah. Sorry.
As I'm 6 foot 200. I said I'm 6 foot 200 pounds. So I gotta do my best when I'm in.
It's not going to be an easy half marathon.
No, it's not. It's not. Oh, did we lose him? He's frozen, and I don't have any audio.
He's moving.
Just give us. It'll
Okay,
catch.
there we go.
I think Jake's the only one that's done any running of this. crew.
Yeah.
I tried to
Yeah, I
run
was
one
really-
time. I hate it.
One time.
It's true. I remember the text. He's like, "I'm going to go for a run." And I'm like, "All right." And then 20 minutes later, that sucked. Why'd I do that?
Yeah, I hated
Yeah.
it. I hated
Can you
every
guys hear me
second of it.
okay?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
hear you.
Yep.
Yeah, Adam, I remember you telling me oh, Chad started running. And then I talked to you a week later, Chad, so you run? You're like, no, I'm done with that.
That didn't take long.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, half's
Can you
not
guys
easy.
hear me?
Half's not easy. Yeah.
Yep, we can
You
hear
hear
you.
us?
We can hear you, but
Awesome.
your picture's frozen.
It's a good mug shot, though.
Yeah, it's a good shot. Don't worry.
It's
It's totally
a strong beard.
Yeah, it's not like you've got one eye closed and gaping mouth or anything.
looking like Jake does on a normal day.
Minus the
Let's
awesome
see,
beard.
all right.
Right, that's true. Mine is
Hopefully it can come back on.
that's all right.
Blubbersphere, our friend in Australia, just
Oh, he's there.
yeah, he just put
What's
a
up,
comment
dude?
up here about marathons. Going to be pretty difficult if he keeps freezing up like that. Meaning the video. And
I like
But,
this comment before that.
yeah, the mood lighting. I was just going
Yeah.
to show that.
Sultry minx. Thanks.
Sultry minx.
Thank Blubbersphere.
I think the transformation is complete. We definitely have dark, sultry Adam now.
He's always hitting on me, that Blubbersphere, all the time. You should see the messages I get from that guy. Actually, you should. It hurts. It scars your eyes.
You mean the pics?
Yeah. Stop sending me pics, Blubbersphere. Damn it.
Well, Brent, I don't know if you can hear us or not anymore. We still have
Yep.
you in the stream.
Yeah, there he is. He's good. He can hear us. We're good.
Okay, we just
I
have
can hear you.
we just have a black screen.
That's fine.
Brent, how's it been since
There you
you
are.
went full time with this? How have the last 3 months been going for you?
Still just eating rice only for 3 months.
Can you guys see me and hear me now?
Yeah, we got you. Can you hear us?
Awesome. Yep, I can now. Yeah.
All right. So, Jake, ask your question again.
Yeah, how's it been going the last 3 months since you went full time with this? Has it been positive about what you expected?
Have you been only eating rice for 3 months again? Or?
Are you on ramen noodles only? He's thinking.
Frozen. What's the Frozen song?
No, let it go.
Let it go.
Sing it to my kids all the time, just to annoy them. Oh.
All right. Well,
All right, Chad. This is the part where you come in and you do filler. Go ahead.
I do filler. I don't do filler. I'm not a color man.
Adam, we got screwed. The only time that I did a half marathon, you were there, bud, and there was no beer afterwards. Where was the beer?
I know the one we went to was the first one that I'd been to, and I've been to several because my wife was running, not me. And there's always beer, so I don't know.
Yeah, I had heard of such things.
For the runners, there's beer, and I just
Well, it should be for everybody.
Even beer
but it's
being
free for the runners.
Even beer being available at the end isn't enough for me to.
Right, that's
to
not enough
wanna
incentive
do
for
it.
me to run, even if there's beer at the end. No, it's not enough incentive for me to do that run.
Totally agree, but I will say that that's a nice reward because you feel like shit when you're done with that.
Hey, Brent's here.
Brent's back.
Don't put those things in his head. Come on, you feel great, Jake,
I mean,
don't you? It's
Feels
awesome.
great.
It's an
Sense
amazing
of accomplishment.
This is my third one, so I agree. You do feel like shit when you're done. So I'm not gonna lie to you.
This is your third half.
Yes. Yep.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't even run a half a
someday
mile.
That's how I had my appendix taken out in the middle of my training about 2 months ago, and that's how I felt about 3 weeks after that. So
Well, whatever you've changed here, your audio and video is spot on. So I think we're good now.
perfect. I took off my Wi-Fi and I'm just on my regular, just on cellular. So we'll see how that goes. Sorry about that, guys.
Okay.
That's all right, no problem. Jake, go ahead and ask your question again, dude.
Yeah, I was curious how it's been going the last 3 months since you transitioned to doing this full time. Has it gone well? Has it gone about as expected? Has it perhaps been, even more challenging and all you're eating is ramen noodles? Like, how's it working out for you?
Yeah, I think, right. I think any startup, it's difficult because in my opinion, I have so much more respect for like founders and startup people who are trying to start something and have built something because there's so much going on in your mind mentally. For me personally, I don't know about others, but can I do this? Can I do that? Like Craft Beer Week, our Drink Local, Think Global Craft Beer Week. It's been an idea in my mind for 2 years. I mentioned it 2 years ago at one of our meetings that I wanted to do it really. But I didn't move forward with it because I was so scared that it would fail. But I think the past 3 months, what's been really awesome is we've, before we went full time, it was just fun for us, right? We were just trying to raise money, and praise God, we were able to raise a decent amount of money. 194,000 is nothing to be ashamed of.
Wow.
But now we have the time to plan a vision and maybe start being more strategic with what we're doing and who we're partnering with and things like that. So that I would say has been the best part. To your question, it's been a challenge of there's like so much stuff. I mean, I'm doing stuff I should have done 3 years ago when we first started, and I'm doing it now. But I'm thankful that we have that time now. I'm very excited to see what the next year or two holds. And, hey, are we going to stay a 100,000 organization or 300,000? Or can we start raising over 1 million every year and drilling more and more wells, providing more and more clean water, which is ultimately right. That's the goal, is to provide as much clean water as possible. So it's been incredible.
So tell us about Craft Beer Week.
That's
what is that? How does that work?
Yeah, so we have just been recruiting breweries hard, and we're asking them to donate 2% to 6.63% of their taproom beer sales for 1 week. Obviously, the 2% stand for the estimated 2,000 children that die every day from diseases caused by unclean water, and the 6.63% representing the 663 million people that don't have access to clean water. And so we've just been really hitting them hard and just saying, hey, do you guys want to participate? And I'll be honest, I did not expect the support we've got. Before us pushing this, we had maybe partnered with 30 breweries, mainly in about 4 states. This 1 week alone we have 95 on board right now in 30
Wow.
different states across the country.
It's amazing. I'm looking at your list right now, and it's impressive.
Thank you.
Your participating
you.
breweries,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, I mean, all credit really goes to them. I mean, if you're listening to this and you're near a brewery, man, tell all your friends, whether they like craft beer or not, to go to that brewery that week, because without them and without them saying yes, this week isn't possible. I don't know how much each brewery will donate, right? Because it's based on sales. We're estimating that this week will at least drill 1 or 2 wells and provide 1 or 2 communities access to clean water, which is pretty incredible, right? I mean, how cool is it that thousands of people are going to be able to go into a tap room and provide someone clean water halfway across the world just by drinking a beer? Like, that's pretty badass, if you ask me.
It makes it pretty easy. You're already going on drinking the beer. Why don't you just go to one of these places and make it count towards something else?
Exactly.
That's October 21st. October 21st through the 27th, right?
Yes, sir.
And it's in Kansas City?
It's all across the nation.
It's wherever the breweries are, yeah. So if you look at...
Oh, I got you. Okay, so...
Yeah,
okay.
So, like, there's one in Bloomington, Illinois, Madison,
get it.
Wisconsin.
I
Yeah,
get
so
it.
you go to those breweries.
We need some
Yeah.
more Wisconsin and Chicagoland
Yes.
representation here.
Hey, if you know any breweries and you know any brewers, please feel free to send that info to them. We would love to get them on board.
Do you have a deadline?
Nope, we'll accept breweries until the last day.
We'll accept breweries on the 26th if we have to.
All right.
Yep.
Well, we
Hey,
visit
you know what?
we visit some breweries, so
Yeah, we visit
Yeah.
several breweries.
we
so
do some.
No.
We got a couple of podcasts coming up with some breweries here in the next few weeks.
It's been fun because pretty much all I've been doing with my time since full time is emailing breweries. And I'm excited because we now have a database of emails to, I don't know, 4,500, 5,000 breweries across the nation. So there's a good chance I at least emailed them. And hopefully if you guys mention it, they'll maybe remember it. Who knows?
We'll just walk in with why did you ignore that email? Why did you ignore the email that you got sent?
And you've
Yes,
got
that would be awesome.
You've got Craft Beer Cellar in Sedalia, Missouri, signed up for this. There's a couple of craft beer sellers around us too.
Yep. So the owner there luckily came on board. There's been a few non-craft, non-breweries that just either sell or pour a lot of craft beer, and they've kind of came to us. We didn't email them, but they kind of came to us and said, "Hey, can we join in?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah!" I mean, I'm not going to say no. So
how does it work for them? How do you approach them on this?
yeah, this year it's just been email. We have it right. We're a team of 2. I'm usually the one handling a lot of the breweries. Praise God for we had interns for the first year, and man, they've been phenomenal with just helping me get the breweries contact and information. So I just want to give them a shout out. But pretty much we went to the craft beer directory on the CBA website, and we would go through one by one and put the information for the brewery in every state in an Excel spreadsheet. And then we would go to that brewery's website or Facebook page, find that email, and then we would email that brewery. And then we would just hope and pray for a response.
It's not really far off from what we do. We email and
Yeah.
hope somebody gets back to us. Sure.
Yep.
We'll do an interview.
Yep. It's just been a lot of work, and I hope, I'm excited because, we've probably had quite a few no's, a lot of no's actually, but everyone I think is really interested to see how it goes this year. And I think I'm hoping they'll come on board next year. So I think next year, hopefully we'll have around 300 to 500 breweries on board, but we'll see what happens.
So the brewery is donating, what'd you say, 2%?
2 to 6.63%. They choose anywhere in that.
Oh,
realm.
so they choose. Okay.
Yep.
Is that all a tax write-off for them, Brent?
Yep. It's a tax deductible donation. And the honestly, the coolest thing, and I think the thing why a lot of breweries are saying yes, is once that well is drilled, it can take anywhere from about 8 to 12 months from when they choose the location that's going to get the clean water. They're going to get to see firsthand the community they impacted, the people they helped provide clean water. So it's not just going to be like, hey, here's your donation, thanks, and see you later. We're going to send them photos and stories of that community that they help provide clean water to.
Oh, that's cool. That's real cool.
That's awesome. Have you had a chance, Brent, or are you planning at some point to visit any of the work that your donations and your organization have generated based off of the profits you've sent?
Yeah, I think we hope to in 2020, now that we're full time and I have this is my job and I don't have to take vacation off. But especially as we were growing, we've done about 16 wells so far, 16 or 17. But as we were growing, it's just really tough to, in my opinion, justify spending $5,000 or $6,000 to go over there.
Sure.
When that could be going to a well. And in my opinion, when I go, I want to make sure it's going to be a worthwhile trip, and me coming back, it's going to double to triple that what it cost me to go over there. Plus we're 100% model. So 100% of public donations, like if any of you three became a monthly donor or donated once, the brewery's donation, 100% of that goes to clean water. Our operating costs are covered by private donors. We're small, so we don't have a ton of private donors. We don't really have a ton of money yet. So you have to think into that as well. So, there's nothing wrong with, every nonprofit has operating costs, right? And it's going to come from somewhere. Ours is just a little different. We have to sometimes work a little bit harder for that.
What's your infrastructure like when you have the money to create a well somewhere around the world? How do you work with some global organization that sets up with a local drilling company, or do you go directly to a local drilling company wherever you're doing the well at, or how's that work?
Yeah, we actually are really fortunate. Our ground partners are called Water for Good. They're actually the ones that have allowed Lindsay and I to go full time, but they're focused in the Central African Republic, and they're the ones who drill the wells, teach the community about sanitation and hygiene, maintain the wells, right? That's a huge issue, is a lot of wells are out there broken. What I love about our ground partners and what I think is really special is they make sure those wells are maintained. They have a maintenance team. It's unlike any other, and they're going around to the wells that they've drilled and maintaining them. So they're pretty incredible, because they're only focused in the Central African Republic. It's one of the poorest countries in the world. Fun fact, CNN just wrote an article about 2 weeks ago about how the Central African Republic is just a forgotten country, and not a lot of people know about it. But it's an extremely poor country. But yeah, they have a goal to provide the entire country clean water by 2030. That's another reason I love them. Will they reach it? We sure hope so, and I think they have a phenomenal plan. But they at least have an exit plan, right? And I think in the nonprofit world, I think more nonprofits should have an exit plan, and how, a plan to try to build infrastructure within the local communities and try to build businesses within those local communities. And they're doing it. And I think they're absolutely incredible for what they're doing. We are extremely fortunate to partner with them. They're the only ones we partner with, and probably will stick with them for quite a while.
So, Brent, since you started this and became woke to this and led this, sorry, I love that word. You said approximately 2016, maybe it was 2015. I believe you said 2016. Has it become easier, harder, about the same to raise awareness, work with local government, be positively or negatively impacted by government and policy and perception? Like, have you seen movement there, or is this global issue becoming a bigger issue? Is it becoming a smaller issue?
Yeah,
I don't. Please educate us.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I am no expert, so I want to always be
Sure.
as transparent as possible. I think in the country we're focused on, the Central African Republic, our ground
Uh-huh.
partners, Water for Good, has been there for 16 years. The founder, who is still with the company, lived and grew up there, so he knows the people extremely well. I'm not a part of those conversations with the government. I'll be honest. I don't know a ton about those conversations, but I just got back from our kind of company wide meeting with them, and they're doing some pretty incredible things. I think they are moving forward. The Central African Republic is right. It's a war torn country right now. On the north side, if I'm correct, there's a lot of fighting. So the Water for Good has a plan to go region by region, and instead of just going anywhere, they're going to go region by region and provide each region clean water, which I think is genius, right? It makes sense. So there, I think Water for Good is doing incredible. I think on a global scale, again, I am speaking with little knowledge. I'm the guy trying to read and listen and take in as much as possible because I'm a newbie, right? I'm no expert, but I think on a global scale, more organizations are starting to realize the importance of sustainability. 15, 20 years ago, you go drill a well and you leave, and you think that community is gonna, oh yeah, we have a well community that's gonna take care of it. Well, what happens when a part breaks and they can't take care of it, or how are they gonna buy it? So I think you are starting to see more, from my opinion, from what I hear from experts, more of a focus on sustainability. So, okay, hey, we're going to drill this well. How do we make sure it's working 10 to 20 years from now? Right. So I think that's really cool. And then secondly, I think there's organizations. We're not the only water organization. We're a really, really small one. So there's some really big boys that are doing some cool stuff in regards to loans for lower income families in these developing countries, so they can get access to clean water and not have to get water from what they call water sharks, people who just up the price for water like crazy, or go to a dirty pond to get water. So yes, you asked about globally. I think the numbers are going down. Right now we use the statistic around 2,000 children. If I could be incorrect, but I think a report just came out about a month ago. It's dropped down to around 880 children die now from diseases caused by unclean water. And I think even the report mentions that number could be much higher, but at least it's going down, right? So yes, I still think in certain parts there's a lot of work to do, but I do think organizations, from the little knowledge I have, are becoming more aware of, hey, let's just not go drill a well and provide this community clean water for maybe a few years. How can we make sure they're getting water for years to come?
Right. How many, two-part question here. How many countries have you had wells drilled in, and is there anything domestically?
Domestically, as in the U.S.?
Yeah.
Yeah. Domestically, I mean, a lot of people think of like Flint, Michigan, right?
We talked about it before the show.
Yep.
We talked about Flint.
That's what a lot of people mention. You read articles on Flint. Obviously, it should never happen. And if I'm correct, they're still having issues from what I keep up with.
Yeah,
they are.
Yeah. So I want to make sure I'm correct with all my information. So that, right. And in our minds, that's what we go to, Flint, Michigan. And it's interesting because, my job is to, obviously that should never happen. And especially in the U.S., right, with everything we have and all the money we have, and it's just crazy it's happening.
Right.
But that's what a lot of people think. I want you guys to imagine like a pond in some farm town you just went through that cattle's in, that's muddy, that cattle's taking crap in. That's where some of these communities are going to get clean water over there. So it's very different. Flint, I think, from the knowledge I have, still has availability. It may not be easy, and it may be tougher to go get that clean water. the communities we're drilling in, there's a lot of them. There's no clean water. It's you're going to a stream that cows are going in, that there's mud in, and you're drinking that. The picture that changed my life, and I still will get emotional just when I see it, and I look at it at least once a week, was a little girl drinking water from this water bottle, and she's throwing it up, and then she's drinking and throwing it up because that's all she had.
Jeez.
Like, she's getting
Wow.
sick. She's getting sick from the water she's drinking, but she has to drink that water.
Yeah.
It's unreal. I mean, I can go for days. Me and my sister have had a lot of talks because she's obviously, she's a huge hero of mine, and she's battling cancer for the second time right now. And right when your sister gets
How old is
diagnosed
she,
with cancer,
if you don't mind me
she's
asking?
33.
Yeah.
She's 33. She's going through chemo. Things are looking good. She's getting really sick. But right, me and her have had a lot of conversations, and especially in the hospital. And you get really pissed off, right, when your sister gets diagnosed with cancer, especially when she's an incredible woman. And she really does a lot to bless others. And, she runs a camp for kids with cancer. I mean, she's a badass. But me and her have had conversations like, I'm pissed off because my sister has cancer, but she's getting the best health care in the world. I mean, she's going to KU Med, a phenomenal hospital. And I sometimes I wonder, I think this is important for some people to ask themselves too, how pissed off would you be if your child or someone you loved got sick or died from not having clean water? It's a completely different, like, not having the most basic necessity of life. There are thousands of people dying, hundreds of thousands dying every year because they don't have that basic necessity. So there's a big difference there, I just think, and right, and in Americans' view, it's very hard. I don't know about you guys. I don't know anybody that's never had access to clean water.
Right.
Where maybe it wasn't in their house, but they couldn't go to a store or go to a neighbor's house or use something, right? I mean, we're talking about people that are dying and having to walk miles just to get maybe clean water, most likely dirty water. And the second to this two part of your question, where do we drill? Mainly in the Central African Republic, mainly because we before we were a nonprofit, we gave the money to Charity Water, which is like, right, it's like my high school crush. I have so much respect for them, and that's Scott Harrison runs their organization, and I fell in love with him. But so they drilled in Ethiopia, I think, with some money we gave to them. But yeah, pretty much our only partner since we became a nonprofit is Water for Good. We've been approached from other nonprofits, but honestly, I love Water for Good. I love what they stand for. I love what they're doing. I love how they're thinking so much beyond just providing access to clean water. They're thinking they hire local, right? It's the local people drilling those wells. They're trying to hand off the drilling company to the local guy that's been running it for 5 years. They're trying to let him own it. Like, that's crazy. That's awesome. Give those people the power to make changes in their communities, and that's what they're doing. Number two, like the maintenance on the wells, that's what I want, right? In 10 years, my hope is Drink Local, Think Global is saying, what are we doing next, right? The global water crisis is solved. Okay, guys, are we tossing it, or hey, do we have a good infrastructure to continue partnering with breweries and donors, and can we go to another cause that needs answers right now?
What do the wells cost?
Yes, where we drill, it's pretty expensive, probably more expensive than most. It's about $15,000 to $18,000.
Wow.
Then they're actually getting ready to do solar water tanks. That will be around $50,000, but they're more expensive to install, less maintenance costs, plus can provide more clean water to people. So I'm really excited to see kind of what happens with the solar water tanks. You go other places, a well can cost, to my knowledge, looking at other organizations and speaking with them, maybe 6 to 12,000, depending on where they're at. Central African Republic is just right. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's hard to get parts there.
Right.
Plus, there's no infrastructure. There's no roads, so equipment breaks down quickly. Things like that.
Yeah, so the solar powered ones, obviously, then the power to pump runs off of solar. But what are the current pumps then? I mean, do you have to get electricity to these places, or is it a hand crank?
Gas.
Yep. No, most of the current ones and most wells you see are hand pumps, right? So you're see that people hand pumping. So, I didn't, right. You don't think about this. I'm ignorant. I'm a dumbass. And
well, you fit in great on this show. So
welcome to this show. You're one of us.
But you don't think that, okay, even though we're drilling this pump in this community, it's incredible. They have clean water. If this pump is providing, even right, that the World Health Organization says a pump should give, I think let me make sure that it should serve 300 people, if I'm correct. A lot of pumps are serving 500, if not 1,000 or more. So yeah, you're getting clean water, but you're waiting in line a good amount of time to get that water. And it's hand pumps. What's cool about the solar powered panels and what they're testing out in the Central African Republic now, and again, I'm learning, right? I'm learning all this. It's faucets. So you go up to that, you turn the faucet, clean water comes out. It's like a gold mine. It's a beautiful thing.
And it's funny. I mean, kind of going back to what you were saying before. It's for us in America and of course parts of Europe and other countries. The idea of not having clean water is completely foreign. I mean, I've never had an issue with it. You know what I mean? Ever since I was born, I would just walk up to the sink, flip it, and there we go. I got water.
Yep.
So the whole idea of somebody having to trek miles just to get dirty, polluted water to come back and then make everybody sick and possibly die from. It's total first world problem, but it's something we don't see. We don't really. It's hard to grasp. Even hearing you say it, it's kind of hard to get your mind around that. There's that many people affected by it.
I encourage you guys and whoever's listening. I'm not even going to say go a whole day without clean water. Go tomorrow morning without clean water. And just see what your life is like.
Does beer count as not clean? Just checking. Just saying.
But no, that's funny. I like it. But or heck, what? It's like when I'm brushing my teeth. Every time I brush my teeth, I now I'm a lot more grateful. Right, your whole world changes when you start finding this stuff out. And at first you're angry. You're pissed off. You don't understand how the hell people don't have access to clean water. How right? I'm a man of faith. I'm a follower of Christ. So at first, you get really pissed off, and you're kind of questioning a lot of stuff. I was, and then I just for me, I just said, man, how is society? How am I allowing this to happen? People dying from, we have freaking smartphones and all this other. We're talking about trying to go to Mars and all this stuff, and
cars that drive themselves.
Yeah, cars that drive, and we can't even provide people clean. Like, no, let's get people clean water, and then let's move on to the other things. So,
now, what do you think? Is it because of their location that they can't get clean water? They're out in the middle of Central Africa or whatever, or is it infrastructure? Is it political? Is it like what? Why is it these people can't get clean water? What is it about?
You're asking some questions where I can get in trouble man.
Perfect.
No, I think again, and for anybody listening, go listen to a lot smarter people talk than me. But I think some of it is location, right? There are some places that will just never be able to get clean water. It's just going to be really tough. And something a lot of people forget, we're dealing with a completely different culture. Like I'm still learning that, right? In my mind, I'm thinking, well, why don't they do this? Why don't they do that? It's a different culture. In a lot of these places that need clean water, it's just a completely different culture. We have to accept that. We can't go in expecting them to do what we want or just to change whatever they're doing. No, that's not going to happen. We need to provide to their needs and their culture. I think, yes, some of it is location. B, in my opinion, from what I've read, from what I've watched, the research I've done, a lot of it is infrastructure. Some of it, if you want to talk politics in certain countries, yes. I also think America in general is really good at giving. And sometimes we don't think. I don't know if you guys like reading, go read When Helping Hurts. It's a phenomenal book. And sometimes we think we're helping and we're really not. So I think more organizations are maybe starting to learn, hey, maybe we thought we've been doing good the past few years, but maybe we're hurting this community more so. But I think because of the resource and the knowledge and the large nonprofits, Charity Water, water.org, Water for Good, Water Mission, big boys. I think the global water crisis, I really do believe someday before I die, it is my hope and dream that a report comes out and says, we strongly believe every person on this planet has access to clean water.
That's a phenomenal goal to have. I hope that does come to pass. I was going to say, you mentioned, Brent, it's hard in America to have the perspective or the knowledge or really understand what people who don't have access to clean water live through every day and every hour, every day. I was listening to, I don't remember if it was a Joe Rogan podcast or a TED Talk, or I was listening to something where, people smarter than I were discussing stuff. And one thing they said was the greatest technology advancement, this is an opinion, obviously, but the greatest technology advancement in the history of humankind was indoor plumbing. They talked about how in Europe and all the people that died because, the streets would have, feces and all kinds of disgusting stuff. But they basically said, if you think about what has saved more lives than anything from the start of mankind, it's clean water through indoor plumbing and having, on-demand access to getting rid of things you need to get rid of and bringing in fresh water when you need fresh water. And I had never previously, this was like a week ago, I was listening to this. I had never thought about water in that way. Maybe that just goes to show how good I have it. But it was a really interesting perspective, and I enjoyed what I was listening to. I will say, though, that domestically, one challenge with water that I've heard from, like in states in Arizona and stuff, where a lot of their water is well water because they're not getting rainfall. They're maybe not getting as much water downriver from snow melt as they used to. One struggle that people are having is, especially in states, and I imagine this happens in other countries as well, that have their own regulations, from a business standpoint. You'll see these big farming companies come in and they'll dig down deeper than the communities, have the resources to dig down. They'll go basically underneath and take all the water that they want for their private fields where they're growing crops and making profits off of. So I don't know, again, if that's, I would imagine, maybe not where you're specifically operating in right now, but I would imagine that is another obstacle to providing clean water in areas that might not have a lot of business regulation or might be dealing with governments that are rolling back environmental protections that might help stop something like that.
Yeah, and you mentioned the drilling aspect. You were talking about drilling deep. I've heard of stories where you'll go somewhere to drill and they just can't reach clean water. So I do think that's an issue in some areas. As far as domestically, I'm definitely no expert in that. And I think, a lot of scientists and a lot of people believe that even in the US, water is going to be a big issue within the next 30 to 60 years. Because there's just so many people and sometimes not enough water. So it'll be interesting. Again, that's just from me seeing an article on CNN or Fox or whatever. But yes, I think drilling. When you mention drilling, that is something I can speak to. And there are sometimes certain issues with the drilling company being able to reach clean water. And sometimes it doesn't happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you'll just be curious to see, like, as water becomes more privatized, and maybe clean water becomes a more difficult resource because we have tapped out, what do you call it, water tables, water basins, the pockets of water underneath the ground. And there's other, climate factors happening. I would hope that we do realize your dream and we find ways to work together to continue to provide everybody clean water. But I guess I do have a fear that, again, as that becomes more privatized, that could become, more of a challenge over time. And it'll take people wanting to be committed to, like, clean water is a universal right, like that's a right. You can't exponentially raise the cost of that. You can't have one entity own that, or, a conglomerate. Like, that's a right.
Yeah. And I think, and I'm speaking more on the nonprofit side, I think everyone believes clean water is a right. And again, I'm speaking more on the nonprofit side, not on the privatized side here domestically. But I think, like, with people we speak to and donors, rock factor, like, wow, people don't have access to clean water. With that said, as we discussed earlier, it is very hard to wrap their minds around not having clean water. So it's very hard to get them excited about providing clean water until they maybe see some photos or something. We're getting ready to really push monthly donors and people becoming a monthly donor, because studies just show when you're a monthly donor, you're more committed, you're more excited. It may be just $5 a month, but you're probably telling other people, hey, I'm providing clean water every month, which is what we want to start happening. Especially if our organization is going to grow, it's going to be through word of mouth and people getting excited about, hey, not only is this organization's pretty cool and they partner with craft breweries, but they provide clean water too.
Now, with so many other nonprofits out there doing this, providing wells and stuff like that, how are you? Well, I don't know. I guess I don't know how to ask it, but kind of, how are you, I guess, making yourself stand out? Or, is there room in this space to keep adding another nonprofit doing the exact same thing instead of everybody combining arms or combining efforts? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you want me to be real transparent, when we first started, I tried really hard to get a few bigger nonprofits just to let me use their tax ID number to raise money, because I didn't want to start a nonprofit. Now, looking back, I realize how stupid that was and how that would never happen and how much legal responsibility there is with that. But honestly, I emailed Charity Water, I emailed a few others, and I just said, hey, we threw this event, we kind of want to keep going. Can we use your tax ID number and just, like, be partners of yours? And they were just like, politely, no, thank you. So I didn't want to start this because, to your point, I already think there's too many organizations. I think the one thing that sets us apart is, I've said this from the beginning, right? Especially as we're starting to push more monthly donors and people trying to get on board on a more consistent basis. A lot of nonprofits, they have one avenue where, right, and that's their mission, whether that's clean water or homelessness or food scarcity or whatever. Cancer is a good example. Ours, I feel like we have two: people passionate about clean water, but people passionate about craft beer. And I think that's what makes us so different. Is we are focused on our mission. That's our number one goal. But our number two goal right after that is to help make breweries money. I've always said from the beginning, if we can find a way, which we haven't yet, to continuously help market craft beer and bring people into tap rooms, and these craft beer and these breweries are saying, hey, man, this Drink Local, Think Global, they're marketing on us. They're encouraging people to come to our tap rooms. Man, they are an awesome partner, and they feel like they're making money off that. That just means more money for clean water, more communities getting clean water, and us growing. So I think that's what makes us so different. is we're extremely focused on clean water, but we're also really focused on craft beer. I feel like we have some pretty badass apparel. I mean, we just got done with the beer fest 2 weeks ago. We sold 5 apparel in 3.5 hours. So
Nice.
people,
Wow.
yeah, people love our shirts. They're comfy and they look cool. And we're getting ready to go to Great American Beer Fest next week. So if you guys are there, let me know. But yeah, it'll right.
Nice.
So
Everybody
I think
keeps
that's
bringing
just
up that the beer fest. We're like, we're not going.
I know everybody's inviting us.
Everybody's
Everybody's
asking.
like, yeah, we're
When you start playing next year now.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, don't feel bad. I literally, the craft beer association, thankful for them, because I've been pretty persistent with reaching out to them in the past 6 months. And about a month ago, they finally said, "Hey, we got a spot for you." So extremely thankful for them.
That's good.
And super
Awesome.
excited for that. But to answer your question in short, we're focused on clean water. My goal is to provide clean water to as many people. I think that's a huge honor. Like, that's my full-time job now. That I don't take that lightly. I'm extremely grateful and humbled by that. So our goal is to provide clean water. But secondly, I think we have a pretty cool avenue for a craft beer lover. Maybe they're not passionate about the global water crisis, but maybe they just like our brand and want to start donating to us because of our brand. Like, that's fine with us too.
Yeah, I think one thing I think that, I mean, you could even kind of push this to the craft beer drinkers, that, it takes clean water to make good beer. And so when we
Really
go
clean water.
when we go drink a craft beer, we're getting that advantage of having that clean water, and a lot of breweries still do additives and certain things to their beer to get it to that clean level that they need it to be, to brew the beer.
Yeah.
Because I've had my fair share of beers that weren't brewed with clean water, and that you definitely can taste a difference. So I would hope
Yeah,
that the craft beer community would be like, well, shit, if there's all this dirty water, my beer's not going to be here for very long. Or the good beer that we like, may be in jeopardy.
Well, I think, I'm no beer expert like you guys, but I obviously read a lot of reports and I talk to a lot of owners of breweries, and a big movement you're seeing in the craft beer world is clean water. Excuse me, let me make sure I say this correctly. Processing the water that is making that beer so it's not going to waste. Right? That's a big movement. That's a big movement you're starting to see with bigger breweries. And then also you're starting to see a lot of breweries talk more about clean water here in the States.
Yep.
Because I think a lot of people are realizing, clean water at some point, right? It's going to get tough, as we discussed earlier. So I think as we discussed earlier, it's now getting not only the breweries, but the consumer to realize we're not just talking about a little bit of dirty water. Like, oh, this beer isn't going to taste good, or like other, like a Flint or other places where they might have to boil their water, or they might have to drink bottled water. Because if I'm correct, Flint couldn't even boil their water for a little bit. They had so they had to drink bottled water.
Yep.
We're talking about people that don't have clean water at all, that they cannot get clean water at all.
They can't go to the 7-Eleven and get a bottle of water.
Yeah, they're literally drinking water with living bacteria. So
Brent, do they not know how to? Is nobody training them on? Do they not have the means to boil water? And again, I'm not suggesting they don't need the drills. I'm just wondering, like, is nobody's even teaching them that? Or
I think that's a question I've asked a lot. And again, from what I am hearing from people who are on the ground locally, a lot of and again, this is an answer from 2 or 3 people. So someone out there may have a different answer, may have actually been there. You're talking to a guy who hasn't. But from what I hear of people who are there consistently, is a lot of these families don't want to waste their coal on boiling water. Secondly, yes, you are correct. Some of these people don't understand or know the water that they're drinking could make them extremely sick or kill them. So a lot of it is education too, as well, which is why when our ground partners go drill a well, they're also teaching that community about sanitation and hygiene, and how to keep up with that, because a lot of these people do not, they have not been taught that. And I think it's to us, right? We say, well, that's crazy. That's so crazy. It's so hard for us to comprehend that.
Yeah.
Man, that these people just, these cultures, it's just the culture there. They haven't been taught that, the education, and the education is coming, right? Education is getting there. But yeah, some it's they don't want to waste like the coal or the heat they have. Secondly, some do not know.
Wow.
Yeah,
Makes me feel like such an asshole. I mean,
Well,
I don't even drink the tap water. I go to the fucking filter on the fridge. I mean, I even give the filtered water to the dog because I'm like, the dog would do it for me. Yeah, here you go.
would she? Would she really?
She would.
No.
Yeah.
You know she'll eat your face off in a heartbeat if she has the
My,
chance. Come on.
no. My kids wouldn't. My dog would. She's
Yeah, your dog would. Absolutely.
yeah.
Addie's a sweetie.
She is.
Yeah, but his dead body in that house for a few days and she's got nothing to eat. Yeah, she's eating.
Oh
his
yeah,
face
yeah,
off.
no, yeah, Adam. You know, we've talked.
I
About
don't
this
think
before.
I'd taste very good. I think she'd be like, no, thank you. I'll take
Like
the
dogs
dog
eat their own poop. It doesn't matter what it tastes like. I imagine for some of these, people in these regions, their whole attitude. Well, first, I never even thought about, I got to use a second resource of mine in order to get
Limited.
clean water. You know what I mean? Like that makes sense. But also, well, look, our tribe group, whatever it is, has been here for generations, and my great grandma drank out of this same river or pond or whatever and didn't have a problem. But obviously now,
Right.
Now it's polluted. It may not have been polluted when grandma was here, but now it is polluted, and so, yeah, that education, again, it's something we take so for granted. We can flip on the internet and read and educate ourselves in that way, turn the TV on, those type of things.
Yeah.
Where it's just not possible, not done there.
Yeah.
So that's things you never think of.
Yeah, it's a different way of living. It's a different culture. I think that's something, that was always tough for me it's still tough for me to understand,
Yeah.
I'm a country dude, I'm from a small town, Southwest Missouri. I'm not an expert. I don't have my doctorate. I'm not going to go to a master's program. So, I'm a simple-minded dude. And there are things that are a struggle for me to understand. But I think as you hear more about it, you start realizing, man, those people, everyone on earth deserves access to clean water.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, one of the few things I would argue to my grave. And if anyone disagrees with that, man, I'm more than happy to speak with you, but I think that's what's tough, right? Again, let's go back. We live in a culture. We do. Very few people even know what it's like. I mean, and that should just show you when we speak of water. I mean, even on this episode or many episodes, everyone that you speak with, they bring up Flint, or they bring up another city that the water shouldn't be happening at all, and it should be fixed quickly. That should be a top priority of the U.S., in my opinion. And I think from what I've read, things are getting fixed, but they bring things like that up, and you can't even comprehend. Usually what I'll say to that is I'll try to look around and try to find a pond or a dirty puddle of water, and I'll say, imagine drinking that. And you don't have any water bottle. You don't have anybody coming to help you. That's what you're drinking and putting in your body every single day.
I mean, just go out to a cow pasture where there's a puddle and they've been crapping in it, peeing in it. Go ahead, drink that. Go ahead, go.
Yeah,
for it. You're not going to do that.
That's why, Brent, I really liked earlier when you said, people might be able to visualize drinking, but think about the day-to-day things that we take for granted,
Right.
like
Brushing teeth,
brushing your teeth.
Yeah, washing clothes, washing dishes. I mean,
Yeah, taking a shower, washing clothes, washing.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
This is a true story. The first well we drilled with Water for Good, I received the photos. I emailed them back, and true story. I emailed them back and I said, "Hey, I'm not trying to like say you guys are liars or anything. This is how bad it was. Are people really drinking from that, or are you guys just picking the worst place and sending a photo to make people feel bad?" Right? And I didn't say that to be rude.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to try to be as transparent as possible to our donors, and they emailed me back and they said, "Hey, unfortunately, like this is one of the few water sources in that community," and men, it was disgusting. I mean, it'll make a guy cry right there on the spot. I mean, it gets me upset just thinking about it. It was disgusting. It was so bad that I had to email our ground partners that I entrusted our first $15,000 to $18,000 to and say, "Are you lying to us?"
Wow.
I mean,
So-
but that attitude, that's the attitude that most of us have, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we've become, and I mean, speaking of the U.S. at this point, I mean, we've become the ultimate skeptics when we see stuff like
Yeah.
this, right?
Yeah.
We're always thinking, okay, yeah, you're a nonprofit, but where's that money really going, right? Or
For sure.
you
For
say
sure.
you're drilling wells and you show some nice video of wells being drilled, but
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
and it's also hard for Americans to believe that people live with that, because
Yeah.
majority of us have never in our lives had to deal with anything remotely like that. And so, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
think it's unreasonable for what you asked, but it goes to the attitude. I'm sure people, before they even click that donate button on your site or something, are thinking, "Is this legit? Is this
Yeah,
okay to
for
do?"
sure. For sure. And I think that's right. Any nonprofit you question, you wonder where that money is going. I think there's some nonprofits that I probably wouldn't donate to, but there's some nonprofits that if I had millions of dollars, I would donate it to them just because of the work they're doing. So yeah, I mean, right, there's always that doubt in your mind. Is your money really going to work? Which is why I'm very proud of our organization. I'm very proud of our ground partners. I feel very confident, where our money is going, and I'll take that to my grave.
Well, I mean, you got to be responsible. I mean, if you're donating
We
to,
just lost him.
well, if you're donating
ahead.
to any
Damn it, Chad.
any organization, I mean, you have to properly vet who you're sending your money to. You know what I mean? If you
Well,
just
plus-
blindly send money to XYZ organization just because it's going to get you some tax break or something.
Sorry, Jamie.
Brian doesn't deserve clean water.
Did you just see that? It's been up there for a while.
I just saw it now.
That's been up there for.
And it's so true, Jamie. It's absolutely true.
It is. It's
I'd
been up there
put
for
Aaron
about 7 or 8
Rodgers in
minutes.
that boat too. Yeah.
You guys, did you see me do a little chuckle off to the side? when
No,
you
I
posted?
didn't. That's awesome.
I saw that
That's
come up.
awesome,
I'm like,
Jamie.
oh.
Thanks for hanging, Jamie. Yeah, it's but
You-
with the age of the internet, right? You can find millions of stories of people, finding these things online about how the money you're donating is not going to the right place. So like I said, it's kind of raised the ultimate skeptics. So
Yeah, I mean, you have to know where you're. I mean, I'm just not going to blindly donate money without vetting the organization that I'm sending
Well-
to. People do this
oh yeah, people do
for
it all
tax
the time.
purposes, but for
Sure.
me, I'm protective of my money, so I'm not going to just.
But which is weird because you have so much of it. I don't understand why you're so protective of it.
I know. Look at all these hats. I mean,
Yeah,
I got tons
Look
of
at those
them.
hats behind you.
Rich hats.
Yeah.
Adam, you make a great point though, and I hate to say this, but as much as I like to think that I'm a realist that uses logic, a lot of people would call me a cynic, and there's been times where I've seen like those commercials play, whether it's injured animals or kids, and I'm like, this is the same stock video they used last time. Like I don't,
Right.
that doesn't make me feel good, but I don't trust it, and
Yeah.
I don't know. You're right.
Sorry,
That's a
guys,
great
Mike.
point.
It's all right, man.
No problem,
So,
Brent.
No worry, Brent.
Now we kind of went off on a little tangent on where money goes if you don't properly vet
Well, I'll tell
vet
you,
your donation.
I have a little story about
Yeah.
this. We for years,
The human fund.
for years, for years, we were donating.
$20,000.
We were donating to like one of those like Your Money Goes help these kids get school and stuff in Africa, that type of thing. I mean, for years we did this, and each year they'd send us a picture of the kid we were sponsoring that year, and I think it was just last year we got a postcard of the kid we're sponsoring for that year, and my wife wouldn't put it on like the garage door where we always put it with magnets, and she didn't think anything of it. And then a couple of days or whatever, I'm walking by and I kind of look over and I'm like, well, wait a second. That kid is the same as that kid and the same as that kid, just older, but with a different name. So like it was like
Yeah.
they kept changing the name of the kids, but they would send the same picture of the kids for years.
Yeah.
My wife,
Because
but-
people will just take the picture and throw it up on the fridge and be like, "Yep, that's the
Yep,
kid."
That's the kid. And but it didn't. It said, thank you for sponsoring so and so. This year you're sponsoring so and so, but it's the exact same kid. And so my wife saw that and she's like, "Toot toot toot. Yeah, we're gonna cancel. We're not gonna do this anymore." She's like,
Yeah.
"I don't understand. What's going on here? You're just so." In
Yeah.
no way. I'm not throwing that on you, Brent, at all. I mean, I
Oh,
think
no.
this is.
And
I think
my
it's-
point was when we kind of lost you there, Brent, was to, I mean, if you're gonna donate money to a nonprofit, you have to properly vet who you're donating your money to. And so
Yeah.
many people just
Yeah.
throw money at some organization just to say,
I'm getting a tax write off. What's the big deal?
I get it's for my taxes. I'm not going to do that.
And
I'm-
to tell people.
so I was saying to
yeah.
these guys,
Makes you feel better about yourself.
I'm quite protective of the money that I don't have. So if I'm going to send it to somebody,
But he
it's
doesn't
gonna-
care about the money he does have, which is really weird. I don't know.
Yeah, but I'm going to make sure that it's properly vetted before I go and send the money. And I'm happy to be
sure.
talking to you tonight. I think it sounds like your organization is run well, and you guys are doing some great things. So, kudos
I
to
don't
you
know if
guys.
it's run well. I don't know if it's run well.
For 3
But-
months
but
so
I'm
far,
confident.
full time, it's been run well. We'll put it.
Yeah. But I'm confident where our money is going. That's the one thing I can say.
That's awesome.
No, that's
I
great.
think
That's great.
I think like a Think Global Thursday, every Thursday at a brewery. They do something like every that night. All that goes to something. Something like that to keep it going instead of
Yeah,
just
the
one
Thirsty
week.
Thursdays.
We-
Think global.
Yeah, Thirsty Think Global Thursday, something.
Yeah.
But I think it's great. I think partnering with the craft beer. I mean, look, the whole thing about what we, the kind of part of the reason we started the podcast and do interviews is because we love the community of craft beer. And when we go to like
Yeah.
our local breweries for craft beer people, it's really all about the story. We can sit
Yep.
down at a brew pub, at a tap room. We can see the guy making the beer. He's right there. Like I can see where this beer came
yeah.
from. Right. It's different from going into the store and grabbing a case of beer, that came from wherever. And you can
Yeah.
make connections there. You can talk with the brewer. You can talk with the people who actually make the beer.
Came
So
from a tank of Bud Light on the East Coast, but
Yeah, right. Exactly. I would hope that craft beer people would look at it differently, like a cause such as this, that
Yeah.
I'm going to drink a beer anyway. Let's make it for a good cause. So
Well, and we've, like I said, man, I mean, you look at Craft Beer Week in our first year, I would have never dreamed we would be in 30 different states with over 90 breweries. That may not be much to us. I mean, we're ecstatic, and honestly, I think it's just going to grow and grow and grow over the next few years, because I think breweries are gonna see, gonna get to see the work and realize, man, we're just not donating to some organization that's just going to take off, and they're going to be able to see the people they helped, and we're going to be, I think hopefully more and more are going to want to join on board. So shout out to all the breweries that are on board, because without them, we'd be screwed.
right. yeah, definitely. Trying to get to
That's
the-
great. Yeah, go to the
where's
craft
the
beer
list?
on the right hand side, top right. There you go.
There it is. That's what I'm trying to get the list of the beers there,
Yeah,
just
there we
so
go.
people can see. So if you're watching if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see the list on the screen of the different breweries. If if there's a brewery near you, or a brewery you can get to during the craft beer, the Drink Local, Think Global. There you go. During that week, definitely go buy a lot of beer during that week from these people. And if there's a brewery you think, man, these guys should be on this list and they're not, get this in their hands, let them see it so they know to be a part of this.
If we're out in the next few weeks visiting breweries or doing a podcast, before or after the show, I think it's definitely worthwhile cause to mention this to them. So we'll definitely help you out here too, as much as we can.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's just word of mouth, and I think if the consumer starts talking about something, breweries are going to want to be on board.
Absolutely.
If the consumer is talking about it, then most likely they're going to want to go to a brewery that's on board. Get to those local tap rooms, man. Not only every week, but especially this week. And just make sure you tell the people behind the bar, just thanks. Thanks for supporting Drink Local. Thanks for being an advocate for those without clean water. These breweries are helping people they'll never meet. And it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and be sure you tell them that you're there because of Drink Local, Think Global, because then they're gonna see, oh wait, this is bringing in more people, or this is bringing in some people. So
for sure,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell us one more time before we wrap up here. Craft Beer Week is when, and where can everybody find you on the internets and social media?
Yep. So it's October 21st to 27th. When you go to drink a beer in that tap room, in a participating tap room, that beer will be helping provide someone clean water in the Central African Republic. And if you're like, well, man, are you sure? Yes. Within the next 8 to 12 months, that brewery will have photos of the people that you were able to help, that they were able to help. And if you sign up for email updates from Drink Local Think Global, or follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Drink Local Think Global, pretty simple, at Drink Local Think Global, we always give the updates of every well we drill. And then www.drinklocalthinkglobal.org is where you can find some more information about us. And soon, our website's under development. Within the next month, you'll be able to see every well we've drilled and
cool.
the impact that's made. So we're pretty excited for that.
Awesome.
Yeah, very cool, man.
So,
you can also go there and see, if you click on the Craft Beer Week, you'll be able to see what breweries are participating, so you know where to go. So that'll definitely be good.
Yep.
All right, Jake, you want to ask your final question you ask every time?
Well, I think I know the answer, but
Well, I think we do too, but you got to ask it anyway.
I'm guessing it's something that has to do with some vodka. But Brett, what is your favorite drink after a long week of hard work that is not craft beer?
Probably a Moscow Mule, hands down, every time.
I like it. That's a good answer.
It's a good drink.
That's a good answer.
That's a good drink.
It's a winner with all of us, man.
Oh man,
nothing like a good Moscow Mule.
Seriously, before we go, I want to tell you three, thanks for having me. Thanks for just allowing us to talk about the global water crisis. Just know it is greatly appreciated. Our team appreciates it, and you guys are doing good work. It's been a lot of fun, and hopefully we can do it again.
Yeah, man. I'll say this is a different podcast for us. We're usually talking to
totally different.
We're talking to brewers. We're talking to beer journalists. We're talking to beer podcast people. You're the first non-beer industry, I would say, person. Really?
Yeah.
Is that right? That would be right. Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah, first time for probably.
Yeah, that we've talked to. So, when I came across I think I saw something about it on Twitter. I'm pretty sure. But when I came across it, I was like, I think this would be great. We got to talk to this dude. So
that's great information to get out there.
Yeah, I'm really glad. Thanks for taking the time to join us. We're gonna run the outro here, but hang on 1 second afterwards here.
We're the three best friends that anyone could have. We're the three best friends that anyone can have, and we're always gonna hang out.